Look, this is all about the inheritance tax changes, the proposals that have been made that really threaten the future of many family farms, and they just want to make sure that the voice of farmers and the farming industry is heard. So I've been outside there with them today to make sure that they know that we're fighting that fight as well. We stand in this together, and this is about our challenge against government and how we try and get them to recognise that they've got this wrong. Look, we all recognise there's many long-standing issues, but this is one which has been brought about by the Labour administration. They said they weren't going to change it. They have changed the inheritance tax. They have betrayed the industry. And the sense of despair amongst the farmers at the moment, why should we continue? What is the point? And that does not deliver for food security for the future. Look, this is beyond Steve Reed now. We all know that we've got to get into the Treasury, that really this is something that Rachel Reeves needs to sort. And so there's part of me that thinks if he'd given that speech in peacetime, there's elements of it that are quite reasonable. But unfortunately, when confidence is on a knife edge, farmers have stopped investing, they're worried about their future, it doesn't cut the mustard. And I just don't think they realise just how critical this situation is today and what it means for the future of food production in this country. We've tried to give the government many different roads out of this, and just yesterday we've written to the Chancellor again, asking that they expand the consultation that they'll be launching earlier this year, which is a technical consultation around the changes to trusts. They could open that out, they could broaden it out to understand the impacts of the proposals around APR and BPR so that we all get an opportunity to feed in. We keep on providing solutions. We recognise the government have got a tough fiscal environment, but they should not penalise the working capital of those family businesses that have worked so hard for many generations. They can't stand there and say we recognise the importance of food security, we're going to drive food production, when they're putting policies in place which are going to hamper that ambition. So the two things are completely incompatible. And that's the real challenge here, is that what he's saying and what they're doing don't add up.
Me and my colleague James, we've come down this morning to support the act that's going on today. Well, we decided to travel today to support all the farmers, small and big, with the tax problems that are going on at the minute that Keir Starmer's trying to create. But for my boss, I'm sure that's going to have a big economical impact on him and all the local farms around us. Of what my family have told me from a while ago, Labour sort of ruined the government once, and I think, if, in my personal opinion, that'll happen again. But it's every business really, it'll hurt. But farming's especially going to be impacted big time by it. I would want them to straight away drop this tax that they're bringing, and try and not necessarily force, but put it upon supermarkets and people that are buying the food to pay a bit more, to bring their prices up a bit so that us as farmers can afford all these things, because the budgets are tight as they are at the minute, let alone with these taxes that are coming into play.
We heard that Stephen Reed was talking at the Oxford Farming Conference and thought we needed to get down here and to protest really to the government's new plans on inheritance tax. And it's not just the inheritance tax, it's all the other subsidies that they're cutting, the delinking of payments, national insurance, all sorts of other things. If there was a black hole, which there might well have been, but there certainly is one now with the new Labour government and all their spending on all sorts of things, there's definitely a black hole now, and that needs to be paid for. But, you know, inheritance tax is not the way to do it on farms. From a personal point of view, potentially we could be due to pay £1 million in inheritance tax from the workings out that we've done. And if that's just our family farm, then it's going to be catastrophic throughout the whole country. You know, they're going to disappear, family farms. Bits are going to be sold off. They're going to reduce, which will reduce the size of farms, reduce the viability of farming for families, and it'll all end up in big business, which is not what we want to do. I mean, there is a vast amount of imports coming in at the moment, all potentially from countries that don't abide by the same standards that British farming does. And it's totally wrong. We need to be supporting family farms, British farming and British produce, and keeping it all on this little island that we live on. We've got to look after ourselves. I think I'd just try and put him in my situation and try and explain to him exactly where we are as a family farm, and hope that he understands. I'm just not sure they fully appreciate the rural, what happens out in the countryside really.